Hello and welcome to the Dits on Wrestling podcast, the Royal Navy's only pro wrestling pod, probably. I am, of course, Dits, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Anthony. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. It's a nice springtime day here in America, here in New York City. I wouldn't really know about it because I'm locked inside because of COVID, but it looks nice outside, and I'm trying to imagine what I'd be doing out there. But even if I was out there, even if I could go outside, there's nowhere I'd rather be than right here on the DOWPOD with my English counterpart that is you.
Naturally. But we're not on our own this week, which is nice. It's always nice to have somebody with us. And this week, we have a return. ANTwontstop, welcome to the show. Again, you were a Draft That competitor, like last year, I think it was. We did WCW Nitro, but it's good to have you back.
Yes, it's awesome to be back. I had a great time last time, and I'm looking forward to this time.
And it's a special occasion this time.
It is.
Yeah, it is. I'm excited.
Yeah, you are the first competitor, apart from obviously me and Anthony, who did it 2 weeks ago. But it doesn't count. It's not canon. Doesn't count. Disney deleted all of that canon, so it is just.
It's not official.
It's all fresh, starting with you. So we've got all your questions ready to go, and we're excited as much as you are because we see quizzes on. Well, we've seen them pop up in the last couple of months, and I don't know. Everyone loves a quiz, especially a wrestling quiz. When you're a wrestling fan, it helps.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm gonna be like the oldest, the youngest, the tallest, the shortest, the best, and the worst competitor of this, like Jericho, the first is just everything.
All in one. Yeah, I love those. As soon as Jericho won the AEW title, I loved all the Jericho is the youngest AEW champ in history. And all those shit were so funny. And that is you. You are going to be the best guest we've had for this quiz and also the worst and anything and everything in between. So that's the way to look at it. You are making history. You're all of it.
Let's go.
And by default, you get the golden anchor. That is
whether
baby.
You do terrible or do good, you get it because there's no one ahead of you because there has been no one else.
Thank you. It's an honor. I'll say it ahead of time. It's an honor to be the first champion.
That's good. Way to plug it.
To be fair, we'll get you back on once there's a few more names on the leaderboard.
Yeah, to see if I'm really good or not.
But without further ado, let's do it. Let's get into the captain's cabin. The following content is unedited madness. We make no apologies. And then we'll have some type music. Obviously, that's not recorded.
Sure, yeah. You know what? I wouldn't even put in the music. Just do that again. Exactly. It sounded like a bad car, that needs a muffler or an oil change. Yeah, it was not good.
As long as it sounds tense, it doesn't matter.
This is true.
You don't know if you're going to be able to go to work on time because of your car engine.
See, you got such a great. We talked about this a bit off air. Your voice is just so great. Mine sucks. Everything you said right there was what you said, content wise, was funny, but also just stupid and wasn't really called for. But your voice makes it so good, and mine, I just don't have that, and it blows. So sad.
It sucks to be you.
I got a lot of personal reflection going on over here on this side, and it's just sad. Sadness.
Use a voice changer. You should use a voice changer on the air, hey, hey guys, sound like Bane from the Batman movie. He used that corny voice changer.
Dits on Wrestling.
Yes, exactly.
This gives you power over me. That would be just
That really reminded me of the SpongeBob. There was a SpongeBob voice that sounded like that.
Yes, there is.
I couldn't stop thinking about it the whole movie. I was like, that's definitely from SpongeBob.
Yes, I was so hyped for that movie to come out, and then when I didn't like how it all kind of came together at the end, and that voice changer was just too much. I was like, what did he say? And then I was like, oh, that was cool. And then I was also like, yeah, what? No,
yeah, exactly.
Not good.
Welcome to the captain's cabin.
This gives you power over me? Merely adopted the darkness.
Oh my god.
I didn't see the light till Alright, sorry, I'll stop.
Just an hour of Bane references.
That's it. Forget the quiz. We're all just going to do Bane voices. Next hour.
Sorry brought it up.
Yeah, it was great. No, it was fantastic. I'm gonna try and figure out what I'm gonna reach out to Mac or Apple or Skype or whatever and be like, yeah, I have a question. I need some technical support. They're like, great, what's your issue? And be like, yeah, I need the Bane voice as an option for my recording so I can change my voice. They're like, so I just want to get this. Yeah, I just want to get this right, sir. You want to sound like Bane? I'm like, that's exactly right. And then they're gonna hang up.
Well, let me help you with that.
That's funny.
Yeah, I've decided to keep all of that in. Why not? Screw it. Unedited.
I don't know.
Anywho. Welcome to the captain's cabin.
Oof.
Ooh.
Big time stage. Big time stage.
It is a huge stage here on HMS DOWPOD.
Yep.
A glorious sailboat, if I do say so myself.
It's got sails.
And it does have sails. I don't know whether they're in working order. We're just docked in the harbour, but we won't tell anybody that, even though I just did.
Nope.
But nobody can see it. That's the perk. Nobody can see what state it is. It's in fine state. It's perfectly sailable. And it is, well, it belongs to me, so that means it's just naturally better than most other boats anyway. And being in the Navy gives it some prestige.
It does.
Kind of.
Not really.
Not really. But it's extra special today because it's only ever been me and you on here, and then people with shitty wrestling takes who we throw off the side. In our Walk the Plank segments, but now we actually have somebody on here that we want to have on, which is nice.
Yeah,
thank you.
And ANT, you will be facing in the first round your general knowledge round, questioning from my first mate Anthony/Shmee.
Oh, I hate being Shmee. I hate it. I understand it and I get it because again, nautical theme, boats, Captain Hook, Shmee, but Shmee is such a tool. And I hate it, but I've accepted it.
You gotta live with it, man.
This is an emotional roller coaster episode for me.
I don't get the reference, but
Captain Hook.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's because it's technically his boat or whatever the fuck. He's Captain Hook, and because I'm the first mate, that makes me Shmee. The way that Shmee is the first mate to Captain Hook, and I hate Shmee, and Shmee sucks. So that's my life.
I just asked the question for anybody who was listening and didn't know what you were talking about. I knew what you were talking about.
Nice recovery.
And a little peek behind the curtain. When I went to Disney World in February, they had the parade on, and Shmee was doing his little jig, and I took a picture of it and I sent it to Anthony just to brighten up his day.
I didn't realize it at first. I saw he messaged me, and I was like, oh, I thought he was going like radio silent because he was in Disney for a while, yada yada. Yeah, and I saw, at first I just saw it, and I thought he was doing it like, because I love Disney World as well. It's one of the many things that we bonded over, and I thought he was just like taunting me to be like, oh, I'm in Disney, you're not, haha, like kick rocks. And at first I saw it, and I was like, oh, this dick. And then I was like, wait a minute. And I had reopened Twitter and went back in, and I was like, that's fucking Shmee, son of a bitch. And he's a real dick. I don't know why I'm on this show.
That was a rib.
I didn't talk to anybody else outside of my family that entire trip, apart from you and that picture. So
that's the fucking talk shit. I respect it. I like where your head was at. It was smart.
He needed to get it out. He was just like being too nice at Disney, having too much fun.
Yeah, something. He had to be a fucking prick. But it is
what I am.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is. So ANT, you are stepping down into the galley with Anthony for your general knowledge round. Anthony, are you ready with the questions?
I am. So I will be asking you a series of questions, and for those listening, we'll go over the rules a little bit because it is a bit different from the first time we rolled this out. So this first round, this general knowledge round, will be 90 seconds. ANT, you have the option of obviously answering the question. If you get the question correct, I will tell you correct. If you don't get the answer correct, I won't say anything. I will just keep moving on to the next question. So I'm only going to acknowledge your answer with a response if it's correct.
Okay.
You can pass on a question if you don't know the answer, but if you pass on a question, you cannot come back to that question at any point.
So if I skip the question, if I pass on it, does that count as a not answer?
Correct. It would be the same as if you guessed and got it wrong.
Okay. So it's better off to just guess, really, and just get it wrong.
That's what
But you have to guess quick because it's timed, right?
Exactly. So that way you got to bring it out in your head a little bit. Like, should I try and venture an educated guess? Should I just flat out skip it? Because I'd rather not even waste the 1 second. Yeah, we do a lot of Jedi mind tricks and a lot of mental
I like that.
Show. We come off as two idiots, but really, we're pretty smart Jedis, and we know how the brain works, and that's why we've done this quiz.
If you're smart, you can play dumb. If you're dumb, you can't play smart, you know? That's
fantastic. I like that quote. That's a Bane quote right there. I'm pretty sure
Bane said it.
If you're smart, you can play dumb.
Oh, that's perfect.
And yeah, I cover all the rules. Dits, you comfortable with that explanation for this general knowledge round? And then after I ask you these general knowledge questions, Dits is obviously doing the timer, so he'll let us know when the 90 seconds are up. And then after this general knowledge round, you will move into your specialty category with the captain in his cabin, in his humble abode, and then he will ask you those questions, and we'll flip roles a little bit. So how's that sound? Sound good?
Sounds
Covered
good.
Everything? Yep. Dits, you got anything? Did I miss anything? Cover anything? Any type of anything?
All good.
Copy that. So you let me know when you are good for the timer and you got that set, and then I've got the questions right here, and I will tell you go, and you will start that timer, and we will get started.
So, Anthony, you're good to go?
Copy that.
ANT, you're good to go?
I'm ready to go.
Anthony, on your go, I will start the timer.
Copy that. And you're also marking down the amount of correct answers, correct?
Yes.
Beautiful. All right. I'm going to do a 3, 2, 1, and then say go, and then we're going to go. 3, 2. Oh, man, it's so intense. 3.
Yeah,
and I'm not even competing. I'm just like, oh, man. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Which two wrestlers were featured in the first WCW Championship match on WWE television?
Pass.
Which wrestler is credited with coming up with the Money in the Bank concept?
Chris Jericho.
In what year did TNA become Impact Wrestling?
2017.
How many consecutive weeks did WCW famously defeat WWE in the ratings battle?
Well, I mean, it's supposed to be 83, but I think it might be 84. I'm going to go with 83.
Correct. Who holds the record for most Royal Rumble victories?
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Chris Jericho holds the record for most Intercontinental title reigns with how many?
9.
Correct. What nickname was given to the World Heavyweight Championship that was defended in NWA, WCW, and WWE?
The Real World Championship? Or there's the 10 pounds of gold.
Who was the last wrestler to hold both the European and Intercontinental titles simultaneously?
That would be Kurt Angle.
Who was the first WWE SmackDown general manager?
Stephanie McMahon.
What label is attached to wrestlers associated with Paul Heyman?
Paul Heyman guy.
What year was the WWE light heavyweight title retired?
Is it valid? I could ask that.
That is a timer, but because it happened halfway through a question, you do get an opportunity to answer the question.
Okay. What year was the light heavyweight championship retired?
Correct.
2002.
Correct.
Whoa.
I didn't. You got some correct that I didn't say correct. So I'm gonna go through. Hold on, Dits. I want to make sure my count matches up with yours.
I was like, I thought some of them might have been right, and I was like, damn, I really.
We had gone back and forth, and then I was trying to get you all the answers, but you did very well.
That was very good.
The best there's ever been.
And also the worst, which is nuts.
He holds the record for most correct answers in general knowledge round.
And the least.
Yes, and the least. Which two wrestlers were featured in the first WCW Championship match on WWE television? You passed on that. The answer was Booker T and Buff Bagwell.
Oh, that's good. I wouldn't have guessed that one correctly.
No. Second question. Which wrestler is credited with coming up with the Money in the Bank concept? You answered Chris Jericho. That was correct.
Thank you.
but I didn't tell you that was correct. So
That's fine. I thought maybe that was a rumor that I might have thought in my brain.
Oh, that's fine. Building the drama. In what year did TNA become Impact Wrestling? This was correct. You guessed 2017. I don't know if you knew that or guessed it. It sounded like you pulled it out of your ass and guessed it.
I didn't know if it was 2016 or 17, but I remember I watched TNA for a long time.
Yes.
And I remember it was like Drew McIntyre. It was the champion, I think. So it was 2017.
Well played. So that was also correct. So
I
that's
think that was the last one that you didn't declare correct on.
Yeah, that might have been.
And the only other one you didn't get was what nickname was given to the World Heavyweight Championship that was defended at NWA, WCW, and WWE? Big Gold Belt.
Big Gold Belt. That was.
That one. Oh, I was thinking of the NWA Championship for some reason when you said that. Like I was just trying to hurry up. My bad. Whatever.
So you actually only got
the rounds.
You only actually got two wrong. Well, you passed on one and you got one wrong. So that's
which one did I get wrong?
If
you don't mind me asking.
The WCW Championship match on WWE.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that was it.
Yeah, the Booker one. Other than that, yeah, you got the Jericho coming up with the Money in the Bank concept. TNA becoming Impact in 2017. How many consecutive weeks did WCW defeat WWE in the ratings battle? You flipped back and forth between 83 and 84, but then you finally settled on 83, which was correct. So that's 3. Answer's correct. Who holds the record for most Royal Rumble victories? You said Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is correct. Next question, Chris Jericho holds the record for most Intercontinental title runs at how many reigns? You answered 9, which was correct. The Big Gold Belt was the next question, which you got wrong.
That was such an easy question, too. That was probably like one of the easiest ones. I just didn't think of it.
It's the tension.
I would say that's what it is. Like, there's ones, and that's the same thing happened with Dits when we first did this. Like, we went back, and I was like, I would ask him that question, and he would tell me the right answer, and I was like, why didn't you get it the first time? He's like, we only had 60 seconds, and like, I didn't know.
Yeah, I was just trying to hurry up. Like,
who was the last wrestler to hold both the European and Intercontinental title simultaneously? The answer was Kurt Angle, so that was another correct answer.
Kudos on that one.
Thank you.
Very good. Who was the first WWE SmackDown general manager? The answer was Stephanie McMahon. You got that one correct again. What label is attached to wrestlers associated with Paul Heyman? Everyone and their mother should get this. That is Paul Heyman, guys, and you got that one correct as well. And then the last question that started to end as the timer ended. What year was the WWE Light Heavyweight title retired? You said 2002, which was also correct. So, Dits, if I am correct in this, our man here got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 correct answers in the general knowledge round.
That is what I have.
That is a well done, my friend. If we had a clapping sound effect right now, which I'm going to guess we do, we'd be clapping for you right now. That was well done.
Like one person clapping, or it's going to be like a crowd of people? That's what I want to know.
Maybe an individual.
We'll keep it.
Like
probably
the chef.
Give me a golf.
That was good. That was very good. Well done.
Thanks.
But will you be good enough to face the captain?
I'm scared, Captain.
Dum.
I'm scared too. I got so into it that I forgot to say correct on the ones you got right. Or maybe I'm just so used to Dits not getting any of them right, so I'm not used to saying correct.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. It was just a pilot, so he was just running through it like
exactly.
Don't defend him.
It's just going through the motions, that's all. I just wanted to. What you needed to see is somebody fail catastrophically.
Just to set the example of what it's like studying. Instead of studying film on like what to do, you can also watch film on what not to do, and that's all you had to do with that pilot. Study Dits's method and preparation and execution, and be like, got it. So just don't do that. But now
that's true. You still got to study history, so you don't know what not to do in the future.
Exactly. Those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it.
Right. So before we get into this one, Anthony, you have a timer, yes?
I do, yeah.
And you have the list of questions?
I do, yeah.
As I am not declaring whether they are correct, obviously you will have to take note of all of that as we go through.
Correct. And for the listeners at home, this specialty round, again, is... That first round is general knowledge, just general wrestling knowledge, although we do skew it somewhat towards WWE/WWF. But this Captain's Cabin specialty round, our guest gets to pre-decide an area of speciality that they feel confident in, that they really know, And our man here has gone with a very broad topic in much the same way that I did, where mine was just Bret Hart. He has chosen the topic of WrestleMania 9 through WrestleMania 36.
Damn it.
But I got confidence in you. I thought you did. I mean, granted, the general knowledge questions are easier, but you did very well. Nine right. I'm very impressed so far.
Thank you. I'm still sweating, so let's get this over with.
I'm still sweating, and I don't have anything on the line here. Like
Well, Gar, ANT, step into the captain's cabin.
Let's go.
So let's not keep that up for the duration. That will throw
I'm
you
gonna
off
be
if I
honest.
kept that accent up.
Because you've done it, I'm probably going to do it throughout the episode. You opened a terrible door there.
It's Bane 2.0.
This gives you power. I need to stop. I won't stop. All right, so I've got the timer set for 1 minute, 30 seconds. Dits, you will be asking the questions.
That's my only role in this, is to ask the questions.
Yep, he will not be saying whether they are correct or incorrect. I will be keeping a tally and marking all of them down on my handy-dandy notebook. And that's where we're going to be.
Sounds good.
And to keep it easier for me, if you say go and start the timer, then I will get into the questions.
Copy that. Is everybody ready?
Ready.
Oh, I wanted to do the Michael Buffer WCW. Like, are you ready? But
Are you ready?
Wait, real quick. Is it true that they're brothers, Bruce Buffer and Mike Buffer? Or is that a rumor?
I don't know. I think it's a rumor.
All right.
We'll get that in the general knowledge questions for next time.
That is that's good. Or what if someone's specialty is Michael Buffer?
That'd be crazy.
He just knows everything about his life.
Like every TV show that he's been in. All right, next. Let's go.
Okay. I'm going to do a 3, 2, 1, and then a go, and that's when we'll go.
Ooh. Even I'm
3.
nervous.
I know, right? See, it's a lot of pressure, man. 3, 2, 1, go.
Who did The Undertaker defeat at WrestleMania 11?
Diesel.
Who accompanied Shawn Michaels to the ring at WrestleMania 12?
His trainer. I need to say his name, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Jose Garcia.
What was the main event of WrestleMania 19?
19. Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship.
The Undertaker faced who in his only casket match at WrestleMania?
Casket match. Pass.
Who was the last person to win the Money in the Bank match at WrestleMania?
CM Punk.
Saliva performed live at which WrestleMania?
17.
The first ever Money in the Bank ladder match occurred at what WrestleMania?
22.
Who did The Miz defeat at WrestleMania 29 for the Intercontinental title?
Gosh, damn it.
You still have 5 seconds to answer this question. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5.
Big Show. It wasn't
Copy
that.
that.
I was at WrestleMania 29. I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
Captain's Cabin, a little bit tougher than the general knowledge.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of pressure.
Everyone feels the pressure in front of the captain.
Damn.
Gar.
All right. How do you think you did?
Bad. Horrible. The worst. And the best.
All right. So, and I would say that's what I say. And the best. Best there is, the worst there was, and the worst/best there ever will be.
Definitely.
So, question 1: who did the Undertaker defeat at WrestleMania 11? Your answer was Diesel. The answer was King Kong Bundy.
Damn it. And then the answer to the casket match was Diesel, right?
No, the answer to the casket match was Mark Henry.
Oh, man. Damn.
Yeah, I didn't know that one either. Or I forgot that one too. That's a hard one. So question 1 was the King Kong Bunny. Question 2 was who accompanied Shawn Michaels to the ring at WrestleMania 12? Your answer was Jose Garcia. The answer was Jose Lothario.
Damn it.
Sorry. Who? What?
Poor Jose Lothario. I'm sorry, man.
Just the way you were like, damn it. Sorry.
I butchered his name.
He's a friend of the show as well, so he's going to be
Didn't
deeply
even have the
offended.
right last name. I should have said Jose.
He sponsors this episode and gives us all our funding, so he's going to be really upset.
I'm sorry, boss.
All that post-production I was adding in is now gone.
No, it's all you.
So now you can't come do the entrance off the top of the thing like Shawn Michaels did?
No more zip line.
Damn it.
Third question, what was the main event of WrestleMania 19? Your answer was Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle for the WWE Championship, and that was correct. That was a correct answer.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Question 4 was The Undertaker faced who in his only casket match at WrestleMania? I don't remember what your answer was, but the answer was Mark Henry. This was also incorrect.
Okay.
Who was the last person to win the Money in the Bank? Who was the last person to win the Money in the Bank match at WrestleMania? Your answer was CM Punk. The correct answer was Jack Swagger.
Oh.
Yep, also known as Mr. Hager nowadays. Next question was Saliva performed. If anybody gets this question right ever, I would be surprised. Saliva performed live at which WrestleMania? Your answer was WrestleMania 17, and you were very, very close. The answer was WrestleMania 18. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have that on DVD too.
Oh, nice. You gotta throw that DVD out now. The first ever Money in the Bank ladder match occurred at what WrestleMania? Your answer was WrestleMania 22. The answer was WrestleMania 21.
Oof.
Oh, okay.
Very close.
Yeah, I was gonna say 23. So.
Oh. And last question, which we let the timer go a little bit more for. Who did The Miz defeat at WrestleMania 29 for the IC title? You went back and forth. Eventually threw Big Show out there, I feel like, just to get a name out. The answer was Wade Barrett.
I definitely wouldn't have got that one either.
Captain's Cabin's no joke, my friend.
Nah, man. It is serious business.
We lure you into a false sense of security.
We did.
General knowledge.
I like that one.
Yeah, that was good. You trapped me.
We did. That's all. That's what we're all about. Theory.
So what I got? 2 out of 12.
You got. Well, let's see. For the specialty round, for the Captain's Cabin round, you got 1 out of 8. And with your total from the first round, you got 10 total answers correct.
It's not too bad.
No, that's not. That general knowledge round is a very strong general knowledge round. And again, they're all worth the same amount of points. So just to get any question right is a bonus. And you're sitting there with a little 10 ski score, a little 10 piece, a little dime piece right there. I don't think that's bad.
Not bad.
It's a good way to set the tone.
And
I really thought you to be.
No,
I lured myself into a false sense. Sorry, I lured myself into a false sense. I thought after that first round of general knowledge, I just assumed he would also get every single specialty round question correct as well.
Damn.
I just assumed, like, as soon as we were like WrestleMania 11, I automatically assumed he was gonna be like, easy, King Kong Bundy. And when he didn't, I was like, uh-oh, chinks in the armor. Like,
that first question really threw me off because like I don't know. I was just thinking. I don't know what I was thinking. First, I thought Sid Vicious, but then I was like, nah, that was at 13.
Damn, I'm sorry. I feel bad now because that we combined for Dits came up with all the general knowledge questions for this one for you, and then we tag teamed the specialty round questions, and that King Kong Bundy question was my creation, but Dits put it in first as the order. But yeah, I feel kind of responsible for it. So
It's all good.
Now, there's something that we can't do in the general knowledge round, and that's give you the rest of the questions because, of course, they get banked and carried on to the next quiz. However, seeing as this is your specialty subject and nobody else will have these questions, I will read off the rest of the questions and we'll just see how you do without any pressure.
Fun.
So, after the IC title at WrestleMania 29, you would have had, who was The Rock's first WrestleMania opponent?
Rock's first WrestleMania opponent would have been WrestleMania 4. Ken Shamrock.
It was the Sultan, aka Rikishi.
Okay, cousin.
Which WrestleMania was the first to be held outdoors?
WrestleMania 9.
Who won the Gimmick Battle Royal? That is correct. Who won the Gimmick Battle Royal match at WrestleMania 17?
Iron Sheik.
Boom. Who fought for the IC title at WrestleMania 9?
Oh, Shawn Michaels and Tatanka.
Yes.
Gar. Who did Mick Foley face at WrestleMania 20?
He was in a tag team match with The Rock versus The Evolution.
Boom. Who won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania 34?
34 would have been The Big Show.
Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy.
Ooh.
I forgot
Matt
this existed.
Hardy.
I forgot this existed in my brain.
I remember. Because Bray Wyatt came out to help him.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Good.
Sheamus defeated Daniel Bryan in how many seconds at WrestleMania 28?
13.
18.
13? 18.
18. And finally, which WrestleMania boasts the highest attendance record?
From that general time frame?
Yes,
it's all together really, but it falls within your 9 to 36.
32.
Correct. Fandabby dozy. See, you got some right there. It's all about the order because I literally just randomized those.
It's that timer, man.
It's messed me up, man. I spent too much time on that Undertaker question. Way too much time on it.
And that first one sets the tone. It sets that tone. I think, like, to your point, like you said it, like if you get that first one right, kind of gets the blood flowing, like you feel good. It's like playing basketball. You make that first shot, you're like, it's gonna be a good night. But if you brick that first one, you're like, fuck, I'm not gonna make shit.
Shoot, I got to try it again sometime.
But to be fair, you are more. People can come back and try again if they so wish to do so. So the door is open for you. The captain's door, the captain's cabin, is open for you if you wish to come back and take on a different specialty, which isn't as broad.
I know. I really set myself up for that one.
We were talking about it when you picked it, like, because we were
because I was just thinking like main events from 9/236. Like when I said it, I was like, oh, like WrestleMania main events 9/36, and then I was like, damn, there's a lot of matches in that.
We go specific with it, like to get a taste for mine. So again, I picked Bret Hart, and Dits hit me with certain things like, what's the name of the minor league hockey team that Bret Hart owns?
The Hitmen.
Yep, there you go. So like Calgary Hitmen, and he was hitting like his debut gimmick and different movie things that he was in, and like specialty things that you just wouldn't. And so we try to go a little bit more specific in the. That's
awesome though. That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
The captain's cabin round is supposed to be tough. I think we demonstrated that today.
Yeah, it's not easy.
I like the false sense of security aspect of like I kind of want to make it now so like the general knowledge question is like super super easy and everybody's gonna be like I'm crushing this quiz and then we just come through with like general knowledge is like name the original Big Four pay-per-views and everybody's like oh my god this is gonna be easy and then for specifics we're like
how many steps did Punk weigh when he was born?
Yeah, exactly. 9 pounds and 11 ounces.
Yeah, right. Correct. Right.
Oh yeah. Because you threw an example out there as well. I think 2 weeks ago. Like, how many steps does it take Big Show to get to the ring at the Royal Rumble or something like that?
So if someone picked like Royal Rumble as their specialty or like Big Show or whatever, I'd be like, how many steps?
That's a trick question because he actually took a golf cart to the ring that year.
Ooh. Boom.
Yeah. So trickerations. That was good. So it was well done. First guest. First and not last, but first and worst, but also first and best.
Thank you.
Not a bad debut.
Scores up on the leaderboard.
You're up on the leaderboard.
Which I will create this weekend and make it look all nice and fancy and piratey and nautical.
I'm more of a chaser for the title. I'm not usually I'm a good guy, so I usually chase for the title.
Okay, anyway. That's fair. Put yourself right in that main title picture, and that's actually a really good segue into where we're going to go for the rest of this episode now, I would say.
Hello and welcome back to the DOWPOD after that very, 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 very short segue from the captain's cabin into this segment. Now, we're actually changing things up this week. We usually do a focused topic of something, but we're actually just doing a general chit-chat of the week in wrestling and the big talking points. And segueing off from what Anthony said at the back end of the Captain's Cabin there, titles. We're going to talk some titles. Specifically, we're going to talk about the IC title, which has been stripped from one Sami Zayn this week. Now, personally, I'm not too happy with it, but I'll delve into what you guys think. ANT, of course, is still with us. So,
yes.
Like, what are your thoughts on this move by WWE? Do you think it makes sense, or are you a little bit scarred and feel it's a bit tainted? Because that's how I feel.
That's a good question. I really don't know what to think. Because how long is Sami Zayn going to be out for? You know, like, we had Andrade was out for a little while. He had a title, and they didn't strip him of it. So is Sami Zayn taking a leave of absence or something? Is there something else we don't know? Is he injured? Like, I have a lot of questions about it, so I'm not really sure what to think about it. You know?
I think the official word, I thought at first it was like a work, but then in some of the details that have come out today specifically, he's not comfortable competing in the same way that Roman Reigns is, like, due to COVID stuff, and so he doesn't want to be out there in that, and because of that, they, in a non-work fashion, they stripped him of the title.
Harsh.
Which, yeah, I know a little more details of it, but I don't even know how to feel, because I get the aspect of, like, you want the belt to be on TV, which is a funny thing now because you've ruined the fucking Intercontinental title, so I don't even know why you give a fuck about it now, WWE, but whatever. But I also feel like that's pretty, and I get where they might feel hard done out, because, like, we just put the belt on this guy, and now after he got the belt, he decides, like, that he doesn't want to compete. So I can understand their motive or aspect of thinking. But also, to your point, like, you didn't take the belt off Andrade when he tested positive for, like, a banned substance. You didn't take the belt off of him. And Sami...
Exactly.
Like, you also said you weren't going to retaliate against people in any way if they didn't feel comfortable competing due to COVID. So you've got a guy who has made a personal decision, and you're going to strip him of the belt, but this other guy violated a policy, and he gets to keep the belt. I don't think that's fair. And I think that's I was just thinking of it purely on, like, a Sami Zayn vacuum. I hadn't even thought of it from, like, in comparison to someone else. And that comparison with Andrade, just now that you made, that really hit me, because, like, I don't think that's fair. Like, you didn't strip Andrade, but why is Sami going to get stripped? That's not right.
And I think it's the same vein as when you look at the NXT UK side of things, or, well, actually, it's not NXT UK really, because it's the Cruiserweight title, which is an NXT title. Jordan Devlin, of course, is the official holder of that title, but he's obviously stuck over this side of the world, obviously unable to travel to America to defend that belt. So they're doing an interim tournament, which I feel would have been fair to Sami. And then when Sami comes back, I assume what they're doing with the NXT thing, because I haven't really been paying much attention to it. I assume when all is well in the world, Devlin will come back and face whoever is holding the fake Cruiserweight title.
Yeah, it'll be similar to the UFC, the way they do it, like interim champion, and then they unify the titles like that. But I don't know, because, like, could they do two interim tournaments at the same time? Would it be, like, you know, too, like...
Oh, that's a good point.
Too much?
Maybe that's why they didn't want to do it.
I think that might be the reason. And I would like to think that if they did strip Sami Zayn for the time being of the title, then he would be the first in line to get his title shot when he does return in a couple months or so, or however soon it is. And I hope there's no bad blood. I hope there's no problems between Sami Zayn and WWE. I hope maybe it was a mutual decision. You know, maybe Sami Zayn was like, you know, I can't be wrestling. You know, just take the title off me because I don't know when I'm going to be back. I hope that. I mean, I like Sami Zayn a lot. That's why I say that. Yeah,
I feel the same way too. Like, and I feel like he's been so underutilized. I know he's had injury concerns, but I feel like he's been underutilized. And then it was cool that he got the belt, and he was getting some face time. Yeah, I hope he kind of gets that shot back. But I know he tweeted some things out that, I mean, but every wrestler tweets stuff out in their character, so you can't really. I take, like, their Twitter and twittering with a grain of salt. Like, I'm not going to put too much stock in it, but
most of the stuff's character, and most of the stuff's like.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can't
1,000%, and, like, what they're trying to do for the business and the company. And so his Twitter was talking about that, he feels like hard done out and that he's still the champ, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to put too much stock into it. And I wonder that backstage mentality. I feel like if it was enough for them to strip him of the belt, and I don't want to act or I don't want to look at it as a glass half empty or like a pessimistic type of thing, but to me it seems a bit retaliatory, and it makes me worry for what's going to happen when he does come back, because maybe they just give him a shot just to make it seem like they're doing the right thing, but they're basically like, you know what, fuck this guy. And I don't think
if he comes back, he better get that title back. That's all I'm saying. Like
he better, but that
and actually wrestle for it as well, rather than just
wrestle for it, or do something cheap like undermine it like he did to get the title in the first place with like a bunch of guys or something. Like he should come back like, this is a hot take, he should come back like Muhammad Hassan, like with a gang of guys and just like do something crazy like a takeover.
Ooh, I'd be down for that. I'm good for any kind of invasion angle. I don't care who it is or what it is. Give me a takeover. Give me NXT takeover. Give me an invasion. Give me any of that. I'll take that. That would be.
Because I feel like he's like a military leader to me. Like, I don't know, the way he just acts, like he just hides behind people, and he's like he talks good. Everything about him seems like it reminds me of like Sergeant Slaughter and like back in the day, like him and Iron Sheik. Like he reminds me of that a lot.
Yeah, especially with the way he's been dressing too, with his little
military
style pants,
especially that.
He's good to be able to like hide behind the muscle, and you want to see
Castro. That's what he reminds me of.
Yeah, actually, very good. Especially he's got that little look to him, and he's rocking that Cuban military garb and hat and all that stuff. Yeah, I don't know how to feel. And Dits, I know you mentioned like we had done an extensive episode on the Intercontinental title and talked about how upset we were based on the state that it was in and how far it had fallen. But you mentioned just now, like in your lead-in for this, that you said it further tarnished things for you. Like, has that, like, how are you feeling with that? Because I thought that was a very interesting topic. I want to come back to that.
I mean, the thing is, like, all three of us, we know how prestigious the IC title is. I know, of course, it's not as prestigious as it used to be, but it does have history. Yes. And I think with them just kind of going, you know what, like, we're not even going to give this thing a chance. We're not even going to run anything with it. It's just a case of bang, we're stripping Sami, and we're just going to bang, there's a tournament. It's not like, I mentioned the NXT side of things, where they're doing the interim tournament. They're running a tournament on SmackDown tonight for the IC title. That could have been a tournament for the interim champion. So they're doing a tournament regardless of what happens. So why didn't they just do that? And then have
that's why I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Like, how long Sami Zayn going to be out, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's probably, if he's not wrestling due to, everything that's going on, he's probably going to step back until we get a green light from the World Health Organization. I don't know, because I assume that's what the same deal Roman Reigns has. Although I actually believe Roman Reigns came out last week and said he's actually not staying away because of COVID-19. He's literally just staying away because he's just had twins and he wants to play daddy for a little while, which, to be fair, congratulations to Roman on that one. Yeah. But even that is a legitimately good idea. And we could spend another 20 minutes talking about the WWE situation regarding Roman, because I don't know, like, there seems to be some back and forth of, like, Vince is hating on Roman, and then all of a sudden he's back being shown in video packages, and then he's being taken away from video packages, especially key moments in video packages. I think it was last week on Raw they showed, I think it was before Money in the Bank, it was the cash-in, the Seth Rollins one, and Roman Reigns was nowhere to be seen in that clip, despite the fact he was he was a pretty integral part of that.
Yeah.
And then at the Money in the Bank match, which the main event, which I'm sure we'll get into shortly, the fallout of all of that, he was there on one of the pictures in one of the corridors, and the camera kind of focused on it a little bit, so it's kind of like, why are you blowing hot and cold with Roman? Like, just because he wants to spend some time with his kids who have just been born, give the guy a break, especially considering, like, what if he was to go to one of these events and, God forbid, somebody has contracted this horrible fucking thing and he takes that home to the twins. Nobody in the right mind is gonna risk that, especially with two young kids. So why should he be at fault for that? It's bizarre to me.
He shouldn't be.
I agree.
But like similarly, like I kind of like sometimes I think that people are reading a little too much into the video package and stuff like that, because the Roman Reigns was heavily featured in that Undertaker documentary. If you guys saw it,
Yes.
He was like very heavily featured in it, and they wouldn't really promote that, I don't think, if they hated him so much. So I being an optimist, once again, I think Roman Reigns and WWE are going to be on good terms. Right now, they might be a little upset that their top moneymaker is not there, but they have other people to fill the void for now. You know, when he comes back, it'll be a lot better, I think. Like when he came back from his other absence, I think he got a lot more people behind him and a lot more, merchandise sales or whatever.
Yeah, he had a better reaction. And I wonder, the thing with me for all of it is I always see, and granted, it's all speculation. We read the reports and different things, whether it's, Meltzer or different online reports or Twitter and all these wrestling insiders and all this stuff that we see. But in everything that I've ever heard about Vince McMahon, it's weird because it's like some people describe him as the most caring, like generous guy. You hear these stories of like medical bills that he's paid for people and things that he's done for individuals, and like the people that he cares about, he genuinely like takes care of them and helps them out. And then at the same time, he's also like a really vindictive ass. And if he doesn't like you or like you get on his bad side, it's over. And I think he's both of those things. Like he can be very kind and caring, but he can also be very like vindictive and purposefully spiteful. And I don't know. I think to agree with you, Ant, like I think Roman is like his dude. Like even just from a business perspective, I feel like he really thinks that Roman is like the moneymaker, the meal ticket. Like
he kind of is though.
Guy.
Like he kind of is, because whether you pay to see him win or pay to see him lose, you're paying to see him.
Correct. And so either way, he's drawn like ratings. Like it's the same thing with Cena. Like the more everybody booed, at the end of the day, it's still a reaction. So you're still giving into what Vince is looking for in some form. And I just can't. I can see Vince being upset at Roman, but I can't see him like washing his hands of him and being like, all right, you know what? Fuck this guy. I'm done. I just don't think, especially with the relation to The Rock, like that.
I don't think so. Someone mentioned that Samoans are basically royalty in wrestling, which I think that might be a good point.
Even though like Tamina's technically like half, or even though she's Fijian, but like she gets fucking title matches and she sucks. But majority of it is because she's related to, and she's like Samoan. Like they always get some kind of something. And I can't see him. The video package thing was weird as fuck. For them to show Seth, like they literally show Seth running to the ring with the briefcase, curb stomping Brock Lesnar, and then the next scene is the ref raising Seth's hands with the belt. And so they completely skip out on Roman. But at the same time, that could just be, maybe they're trying to edit it out. Maybe they're doing it for good reasons because they're trying to cool Roman off again. So when he returns, it's a huge pop and a huge return and whatever they're looking for. I think there's many avenues.
That's the optimistic in me, optimism in me, like thinking like that way. And I mean, we hear a lot of reports and stuff. I think Roman probably would have said something in his Instagram live post or whatever that he did a couple of weeks back, saying like, oh, like don't expect me to see me in WWE anytime soon. Like he seems like an outspoken kind of like guy. Like he's not afraid to stand up for himself, it seems like.
I see. I would agree with that. I don't know if it's optimism in me or just I don't think Vince is ready to get off that Roman like horse or that Roman bandwagon. He's been trying to push Roman down everyone's throats for the last like 85 years, it feels like. So I don't think he's ready to quit that right now.
And the way that Vince McMahon is very, very vindictive and spiteful and all these things. Vindictive.
You can't spell vindictive without Vince.
Like I know it's probably not true, but I can't help but think a little part of Vince is incredibly pissed off and just is leveling lots of spite towards Becky Lynch for getting pregnant.
He keeps losing, like, in a matter of days, like, Roman's out, and then Sami doesn't want to compete anymore, and he's got all these other people that he's had to like let go and all these business decisions. And then Becky, who's been like arguably, and not even arguably, I would say she's been like the most popular superstar in all of WWE. Yeah, she comes through and is like, I'm pregnant, I'm out.
It's just going to be money in the long run anyway. Like, I think Becky will probably come back in a year or two, and then there'll be more money to be made. And Vince should be lucky that he has all these people with him still. A lot of people didn't opt out of wrestling. There's still a lot of wrestlers. He still has so much talent that he has to now use. He has no choice. But this is kind of like a blessing in disguise for him, I think.
And I think Becky was hitting that point where I think a lot of people were starting to cool off on her a little bit, this whole gimmick that she's running. I think
so this might have been a good time for her to be pregnant, honestly.
I'm included in that. I was super over Becky. I think she's a good wrestler, and I loved her. I was super over her fucking shtick. I was ready for her to lose the belt or get the fuck out. Yeah, and I feel terrible saying that.
Hot take.
Yeah, like, I've just... A lot of it for me was when they started doing the package with her and Seth together, like when Seth was still a face.
Yeah.
I thought that was super corny. That cooled me on her a bit. And then everything with like her man gimmick just keep being like, I felt like they were trying to put her into the Stone Cold box a lot. And with Austin, it just seemed very organic. Becky, some of her lines felt corny and like they fell flat to me, and they seemed very like just too forced and too contrived. But again, I think she's an amazing wrestler, and the way she became the man with shitty fucking Nia Jax actually hitting her in the face and then powering through the blood and all that, like, I respect it and I love it, and so I was cool with it to a degree. But I was super fucking over the man gimmick. Like, I had it. I've wanted her to drop the belt for a while, and I'm in that boat. It may be a hot take, but I'm definitely in that boat.
But she definitely falls in the space of the one that Roman finds himself in. Roman comes back, he's going to get a big reaction. When Becky comes back, she's going to get a big reaction. So, like, I mean, obviously, like, this decision was hers, but it wasn't like she goes, I'm just walking away. Obviously, she does have a reason to walk away. So I don't know. Like, I'd like to think.
What do you guys?
No, go on.
What do you think? I'm sorry. What do you think the odds are, both of you guys? What do you think the odds are that she doesn't come back?
Ooh.
20% chance that she won't come back. I think 20%.
Yeah, I'd probably level about the same, because I know that she's already starting to dip her toes in the land of Hollywood, and I've heard rumors. I don't know if it's confirmed. Maybe one of you guys know that she will be in an upcoming Marvel project. So
yes,
that's cool.
Yeah, I saw the filming of behind the scenes stuff for it.
So the wheels have already started turning on that one. So you could very well see a Rock scenario, because the Rock kind of in 2002 did the Scorpion King, then came back and did his Hollywood Rock thing, which is the greatest thing ever. And he did. I think
really
he did that.
Hollywood Rock, man. Like, I'm sorry.
Oh,
like, I like the fact that he was doing like some comedy stuff, like playing the guitar and doing stupid stuff. But like, I hated the fact that he left. I was so mad. He was my favorite guy. Like, come on, Rock.
That sucks.
I just can't.
Yeah, Dits loves the Hollywood.
I love Hollywood Rock.
We did a draft that battle with the dudes from Headlock Talk, another wrestling podcast, and we did. It was me and Dits versus them two, and we drafted like our top 10 each of who had the best gimmick. And I think our number 9 or our number 8 pick was the Hollywood Rock gimmick, and I supported it. I liked it. I thought the comedy in it was good. I don't think my heart was as attached to it as yours, but yeah, Dits was banging the drum for that. He loves that gimmick.
It's the best. It's the best. And the fact that if there's anything you can take away from the Hollywood Rock gimmick character, whatever you want to call it, is the fact that he ribs on Hogan in the build-up to No Way Out, which is an absolute dream. I think it's like a SmackDown promo. And he spits water in his face and all that good stuff. It's an enjoyable time. It's an enjoyable time.
It'd
that
be
whole
interesting
thing.
if Becky went. That would be, if Becky went to. I mean, I don't know how many. I don't say this in a way of like he's going to die or whatever, but like I don't know how many years Vince has left in him, and I know
I'd say 30
that,
more years probably.
Yeah, he's what, 74 now. He's going to live to be at least like 280. I feel like at this point. So. But it would be, I know there's always been like the idea of that not that he was like spiteful, but he was with exactly what happened with The Rock, where like this natural organic star that was young and the future came about. Like Austin had more mileage on him, and I think Stone Cold Steve Austin is the most popular wrestler ever. But from a combination of injuries, he's number 2 for me. He really changed like wrestling in a lot of ways, and his career really ended from a combination of just age, like he had a lot of mileage on him from wrestling, but also like the injuries. We know his neck injury, his knees, everything like that, but mainly the neck. So his career started to, I don't want to say derail, but started to slow down because of injury. Whereas The Rock, his career really turned down in wrestling because he became a Hollywood star. And we've all heard like reports however much truth there is to it, but like Vince has always been very gun shy about building new stars to too high of a level because he's afraid of like what The Rock did. He's afraid of that happening again. And I wonder with that, like how Becky would affect him with that. Like if Becky leaves because, you know, she is pregnant and takes a couple, you know, years off or whatever, and then only comes back here and there and really sticks with the Hollywood route. And because to be honest, I know she loves wrestling and she's like a lifer. She started wrestling in front of 2-3 people. Like it is her thing. It is her passion. But from a business standpoint and a health standpoint and even a family standpoint, like if you can get paid the same, but she's probably going to get paid more doing movies. Yeah. It's a lot easier schedule, especially if you have a family to film some movies. You get more time at home. You don't have to put your body through the physical, grueling shit that is the sport of professional wrestling. Like maybe she puts her passion on hold a little bit and just does the movie thing. And I wonder how that would affect Vince further. Because this is another, again, like they helped build The Rock, but The Rock got himself over in a lot of ways. His charisma, his athleticism, like he was legitimately electrifying on the mic and in the ring. He built himself. It was very organic. And the same thing with Becky. Like everybody was clamoring for Becky because of how good she was. And then the broken nose and the blood happens and she rose about organically. And that would be another like organically risen star. And I wonder if that would push Vince further to be like, you know what? I can't build anybody that big. I got to keep bringing in part-timers. I got to keep bringing in the old guys like Goldberg and Undertaker or whatever. I can't let somebody get too big because then they're going to leave and then I'm fucked.
Like real quick, I don't think Becky's going to get to that level of like The Rock Hollywood stardom. And I'm not saying that because I'm being a hater, but The Rock got to his level for certain reasons, you know, like he's like, how do you say, typecast as just a badass in every movie. And Becky has a couple of hurdles she has to get over, you know. Number one, she has a strong Irish accent. So she might either be in a movie because of it or not be in a movie because of it, or try to speak like, you know, the Americans want to hear in the movies. And I feel like Becky will do some movies kind of like Batista, you know. Well, Batista's doing a lot of movies now, but I think that she'll do a couple movies, I guess more like The Miz, and then she'll come back to WWE as a bigger star. That's what I think personally will happen.
Good call. That's fair.
But what do you think, Dits?
I think that runs parallel to the way. I agree with you. I don't think it's ever going to be the Rock levels of success because, you know, again, like Anthony said, like he's kind of built himself to that point. The amount of hard work and dedication that man puts into just putting his pants on in the morning is like way better than anything I could conjure up. But like, I'm not saying that Becky Lynch isn't a hard worker, but like The Rock is like on his own level. But like, I don't understand where I don't think Vince has a right really to be annoyed when these people go off and find success elsewhere, because ultimately I think it casts a positive light on WWE. And I mean, exactly. you look at The Rock. I think he's kind of moved away from ex WWE star The Rock. It's now just like ex wrestler The Rock, or even it's not even The Rock anymore. It's just Dwayne Johnson. But I think and like for the first like 7, 8, 9 years, it was always like ex WWE star or just The Rock. Like his name's not Dwayne, it's The Rock. And I think it'd be the same for Becky. It would be former WWE champion or former WWE superstar Becky Lynch. And as soon as you see that, you're just like, oh, WWE. That whoever reads that article or that credit,
what do you call it? Yeah,
it's eyes on WWE. They go, oh, WWE. Is that still going? Like, if you haven't watched it, is that still going? Like,
do you
is that still a
think
thing?
Vince sees it like that though? Like you see it like that, and I would agree. But do you think Vince sees it like that, or does he feel slighted by it?
Nah, he loves it. Like Miz doing movies, he loves that. John Cena doing movies, he loves it. But I mean, of course, he would want John Cena to be wrestling more often for him. But this is like a blessing for him to come up with new stars. He has to come up with new guys. Like when Roman Reigns did the Fast and Furious, he probably loved it. Stuff like
shit,
that.
that's right.
Like, you know what I mean?
And to be fair,
I get to
that's
see that movie. I still want to see that.
Yeah, I want to see it too. And I think to be honest, I actually do think Roman's going to be in the similar camp as what Becky is, because I believe he like really enjoyed doing that work on Fast and Furious. Well, it wasn't Fast and Furious, like Hobbs and Shaw, but yes.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Same thing.
It's the same
thing. And I believe that some of those folks in Hollywood were pretty high on him whilst he was doing all that stuff. So I think Hollywood is going to come calling to Roman at some point, because he's got the look. I mean, I believe he's taken acting classes as well and all that kind of stuff. So at some point he's going to be ready for it. So that's another guy that could potentially leave WWE and go to Hollywood. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I really don't think it's a bad thing. It's
I don't think so.
It's extra publicity for WWE, for Vince. Like,
He loves it. Like Total Bellas, Total Divas.
Yeah.
The more WWE wrestlers doing more things, the better it is. Like, but he doesn't want people to get like, I guess, too good for WWE. Like The Rock is
Yes.
I mean, shoot, like The Rock, he really like superseded his expectations. Like that's a different story. But he loves the Total Divas, Total Bellas. It all says WWE all over it. Even though the girls or guys who watch Total Bellas might not know WWE or like it, they still love it because it's a drama show and it's like about, girls or whatever doing girl stuff.
Doing whatever the fucking Bellas do or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. Doing what Bellas do. Bella's doing what Bellas do.
Yeah, Bella's gonna Bella, That's what it is.
Exactly.
But to be fair, Total Divas was the closest thing I could get with my wife watching wrestling. That was the closest I could get. And I accepted that, and therefore I watched it, and it's car crash. It really is. Whew.
Yeah, it's not. I've told that story with 8 when I went to friggin' Double or Nothing, and Moxley came out, and normally I go to like wrestling shows with my boys, but my fiance and I were already in Vegas, and so we went to Double or Nothing, and she was a good sport for most of it, even though she doesn't like wrestling. And yeah, when Ambrose came out, I was hyped as fuck, but she noticed it first, and she was like, "Hey, isn't that Renee's husband from Total Divas?" And I was like,
"Exactly,
yep, that's who it is."
I mean, that didn't work in Vince's favor, but
no, it did not. But that story to me was always like, that's how everybody knows him. He's not known for his own thing. He is known because he was on Total Divas, and he's married to Renee Young. That is why he's a thing.
That's his calling card.
That's how I found out about him, honestly.
That's how I found out about all my wrestling. It's all through Total Divas. And
that guy, Daniel Bryan, I found out about him from Total Divas, too. Like,
yeah,
he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's married to Bree.
Nice guy.
And I love Bree's, just forward thinking when it comes to the environment. And I was like, oh, her husband wrestles? That's pretty cool. And that's what got me into wrestling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how I got in. And then I found out that, like, he had done some stuff in Japan, and I was like, oh, shit, there's wrestling in Japan? I got to check some of that out. And that's how I found out about New Japan, basically, through Total Divas. So that's where all my wrestling
Vince,
comes from.
Listening, that's where we learned about wrestling.
That's Divas. Where we all get it, Vince.
That's why he's high.
Becky's going to be interesting. And then that also obviously changes the fact of how I think it puts Asuka's victory on a different pedestal then. And what was also interesting, I read today, the original plan before Becky's pregnancy was that at Money in the Bank, Becky was supposed to fight Nia Jax for the title.
Oof.
And then Shayna was supposed to win the briefcase. That was the official plan. And then once the Becky pregnancy thing dropped, they obviously scrapped that, redid things, and then gave Asuka the briefcase.
I'm glad they scrapped that. Like, I don't think Shayna should be champion yet. Like this soon after she lost.
They're not giving her. So that would have meant like Becky would beat Nia, and then we'd get another Becky Shayna match, and then does that mean Shayna wins? Does Becky win again? But I don't think they packaged. I like Shayna and I like her heel work, but I feel like she hasn't gotten the reaction from the crowd that, I mean, granted there's no crowd now, but I feel like she didn't get the reaction from the main roster crowd, like she was in NXT, and then they
kind
tried
of
to
rushed
have
her in. They just like threw her in and like
Yeah.
try to make her seem like she was already in the mix.
And
but
then she looked like an
wasn't.
idiot in how she got eliminated in the Rumble against Charlotte. I thought that made her look dumb. And then she's trying to fucking bite people's necks like she's in Blade, like that. What the fuck is going on with that? Like, I am glad that they scrapped that as well. And I am decently happy for Asuka. Like, I love Asuka. I haven't really loved how she's been booked, but that's interesting. And I wonder where they go now with the women's division, because I feel like that, obviously everything like ran through Becky, and now you've got Charlotte doing NXT stuff, and Becky's gone. Bailey is a champ, but where's that
Whack.
going? Yeah,
Whack.
not
Sasha needs
great.
to take the belt off her. Sasha just needs to get that belt.
I don't know what's going on. Dits and I talked about it when we were going over some like the Mania stuff. Like, I don't know.
in the making.
Yeah, are they ever gonna fight? Are they ever gonna feud and stay like feuding? Are they ever not gonna be best friends? Like, what's going on? And now Asuka's a champ. It puts the women's division like in a very interesting position going forward.
I have a feeling they're going to go with, and I hate to say it because I can't stand the woman. I think they're going to go with Nia as.
Fuck you if
like,
they do that. I'm sorry, not to you personally.
For the Raw Women's Champion?
Yeah.
Oh god.
No.
She's so awful.
Over Asuka?
I don't think
think they'd ever
I don't think Nia will win, but I think first opponent for Asuka, I think Nia will step up and be that person, because like you said, I think it's too early for Shayna, and I mean we saw it a lot. We did see Asuka Shayna in NXT, didn't we? I'm not just making that up.
No, I don't think so.
Did we not? I don't know. Did we?
No, Shayna and Kyrie had a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Asuka had left, I think, before.
Yeah.
that.
Oh
Asuka was
yeah,
big.
she
Asuka-
vacated the title, didn't she, and then left. Right,
We've
right.
seen we've seen Shayna with everyone. As far as Japanese women, it's been Kyrie, it's been Io Shirai, and then everybody through. No, Asuka. Ooh, who did? Didn't Asuka just? I think no, yeah, because Asuka was still undefeated in NXT when she came to the main roster.
Yeah.
Her first loss was to Charlotte at Mania. I think Asuka just vacated the title when she came to the main roster.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, was Shayna around at NXT at that point?
I don't think she was the Shayna. I may be wrong if someone wants to correct me here, but I think she wasn't main level yet.
But she was just
No,
like kind of.
she definitely wasn't.
Yeah, she was. No, because I remember, at TakeOver Brooklyn 2 that I went to, I think Asuka beat Bailey. I think that's who she was still rolling with. And then Bailey came up, Asuka ran through everyone else, Asuka vacated and came up when they brought up a whole bunch of like NXT women, and then that's Shayna's time started to come after Asuka. Yeah, because
That
she never
sounds right
lost
to
in
me.
NXT.
That sounds right to me.
I think that's what it was. Yeah,
So
that would
they-
be. I would be down for that feud if it was Shayna and Asuka. I would be down for anything other than Nia. I hate Nia. I think she's so bad. The analogy I use is like she's the boss's daughter who works as a cashier, but she doesn't know how to do math. So she's always giving like wrong change to the customers and doesn't know or care, and then is a dick about it on
Yeah.
social media.
Her
and, like,
greatest
rant.
match was against Ronda Rousey. That was a really good
Yeah.
match. That was both of their greatest match, I might think. I might even think that.
I'm very torn on Ronda. I don't know where this women division goes.
I would love Ronda to come back. She needs to come back. Like, do you need money, Ronda? Come on, please. You need money. Come back.
Oof.
Oh, I don't think I could live with a women's roster with both Ronda and Nia in it. Oh,
You don't like Ronda?
I'm not a fan of Ronda Rousey. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm torn.
Like I didn't mind her initially, but then a couple of months in, it was just like, I just don't think Ronda is for me. And then she turned, and then just became. I know it was probably for show, and it was all fake shoot, but it was just kind of like this isn't for me. Like I just think you're an arsehole. Go away.
The only thing I didn't like about Ronda was the way she won the title. She beat like Alexa Bliss, I think, for it, and it was
She beat the
it
shit
was
out
like
of her.
stupid. Yeah, it was dumb. But she had a good match with Charlotte. She had a good match with Sasha. She had a good match with Nia. She had a good match at WrestleMania, and that whole build up to that feud was freaking awesome. The WrestleMania 35 feud. That was really good.
That was a good. Didn't she
Like
fight?
the cars getting kicked, the car windows getting kicked out,
yeah.
the police.
That was
It was
cool.
just awesome.
Didn't she? That Rumble, because I think that was the one in the Diamondbacks or the Houston Astros Stadium. That was the Rumble where when she fought Sasha. That was at Rumble for the title, right?
I think so.
Right? She defended it against Sasha, right?
Ooh. Yeah, she would. Yeah, of course she. Yeah, she would.
Because that's the one she defended that against Sasha, because that's the one where Becky faced Asuka, and then Becky was like hurt or whatever, and then Becky came out in the Rumble and won the Rumble. Correct?
Yes, that's the one.
Right.
That was it.
That match with Ronda and Sasha, to your point, not to defend Nia, the Ronda Nia match was actually good to me, like for what they had done. That Ronda Sasha match I thought was fantastic. It looked real. They were like really like doing a lot of technical, good, stiff looking shit.
Ronda's underrated, man. Telling you
I don't
guys.
know how I feel about her. It's very interesting. I feel like I'm in the middle. Like Dits doesn't like her, and like you like her. I go back and forth. I don't feel like she's bad, but I also feel like and I don't think this is a huge knock against her because she's still like green in the wrestling business. Like I feel like she still looks like a fish out of water at times in the ring, but I don't think she's bad. I don't feel really any type of way about her. If she came back, I'd be like, oh, okay. If she didn't, I'd also be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But now look where they are 2 years, or not even 2 years, a year ago. The women were main eventing WrestleMania, and it was Charlotte, Becky, and Ronda. And barely over a year later, Charlotte is in NXT, which isn't a bad thing. But Charlotte's in NXT, Becky's gone, and Ronda's gone.
Those are their main three stars. They can't main event without them right now, I don't think.
How quickly do things... I mean, it's just in life in general, but like, how quickly do things change? We are barely over a year removed from that Mania that the women headlined, and to your point, like the build was awesome. It was all like anything and everything. I wasn't a huge fan of the match itself, but the build was great, and it was still awesome to see these three women main event of WrestleMania. And we are barely over a year away, and two of them are completely gone, and one of them isn't even on the quote unquote main roster.
That's interesting, isn't it? Really,
can't really say nothing about that.
And now we've got guys, and then Asuka's the champion. Otis has a briefcase. There's rumors that Otis is going to cash in the briefcase on the tag team titles. I don't know how we feel about that.
Now speaking of the master of segues over here, speaking of Money in the Bank and Otis and all that, and as we start to wind down towards the episode's end, we did a Money in the Bank review this week as a bonus episode, and I told you my thoughts about the match and how I felt it tainted that whole.
You made a very big statement.
That whole shit that happened, the main event. I think that tainted the whole concept of Money in the Bank. It ruined the match for me. And now that I've slept on it 5 times, I still feel that way, but even slightly more so. Like it has really pained me when it comes to Money in the Bank. It really has. I know Anthony's thoughts on it, but ANT, what are your thoughts on it? Because I'd be very, very interested to hear what you have to say.
Like my thoughts on
that match.
I'm sorry, like the match in general, or the way it ended, like with
the Money in the
stuff?
Bank match, the Money in the Bank match as a whole.
It was cool. I mean, it had to be done, honestly, because this whole situation, pandemic, we can't have crowds. There's certain things we can't have. So now is a cool time to do the cinematic wrestling thing. I like the callbacks to it. I like the entertainment sake of it. I liked it. I really did like it. I enjoyed it.
So I like that because I don't feel like there's a middle ground to this whole thing. I think you either fucking despised it.
Yeah.
Which is where I lie.
I mean, how could you despise AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan fighting into Vince McMahon's office, and then Vince being like, "Get out," and then put the hands? Come on, how could you not like that? That was gold.
I will give you that. There were some moments during that thing where I enjoyed it, but for the most part, to be honest, actually, I think the thing that really bugs me is the when they got to the roof. I think that is when things really turned sour for me, because it is, at the end of the day, this is the Money in the Bank match. I don't care if you have to start from the fucking a hotel 7 miles away and work your way to the fucking headquarters. I don't care. The Money in the Bank match to me is the moment you step in that ring and you're climbing ladders and stuff like that. That is the Money in the Bank match to me, and that will always be the Money in the Bank match to me. And the fact that they spent maybe 10 minutes, if that, on the roof. And even then, when they got to the roof, not even everybody was there. I mean, Ray and Aleister Black seemingly died. But where was Shayna? Where did she didn't even make it to the roof. I don't think Nia made it up there. Maybe she did. There was a few people that were missing. Like Dana, I don't think made it up there. Carmella was MIA. Like, it was just like, it's not a Money in the Bank match. It's not.
We were not. This is interesting to get the difference of perspectives here. I did not like it. As we discussed, I did like the comedy bit with Daniel Bryan and AJ in Vince's office and how they went back and put the chairs back. I thought that was funny.
And John Laurinaitis, people power.
Yeah, that I thought, like, and then Otis with the pie. We went into it on the episode, like, in the bonus of why we didn't like it, but it's funny to hear you say how much you like it, and not to like juxtapose it with Dits, but Dits is he mentioned it a little bit. His literal words. I thought when we did the review, I thought I was like being the more like negative one, and then Dits came out and said, "quote That Money in the Bank ladder match has forever tainted the Money in the Bank concept for him forever as of this moment."
That's a strong,
very strong.
I just looked at it like this, like, as soon as I started watching it and I realized that it was cinematic, I put myself in the mind frame of this is just going to be entertainment. You know, it's not going to necessarily be a Money in the Bank match. It's just going to be entertainment for the next 30 minutes. And that's the same thing I thought when I saw the Undertaker match and the John Cena and Bray Wyatt thing. It's just entertainment. So I'm not going to put myself in as in this is a match, and I have to judge it as in it's like a match. So that's why I thought, like, I put myself in an entertainment perspective and I said this is entertaining. Like, everything about it was entertaining except for the food fight. I didn't like the food fight.
Yeah, we didn't like that either. And it's funny to Dits to your point, and then I'm going to pass it back to you here. Like, that seems to be the take to your point of, like, I've seen everyone either be like, I loved it, it was great, or people are like, I hated it, and it's the worst thing I've ever seen. I haven't seen anyone be in middle ground of being like, yeah, it was okay. It's been a very, like, polarizing thing. And I don't know if it's because of the cinematic aspect or because of like how it came together and how the match evolved, but it had, to your point, it has been very much like people are on one side or the other. There's no really like gray. Everyone's been very black and white about it.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy the two cinematic matches at WrestleMania. In fact, I adore the Taker AJ match, but I mean, I said this on the review show. I said, like, if you did switch it, because I said that initially to you, Anthony. I said, like, the first like 5-10 minutes of that, maybe less than that, I was kind of like, this is actually okay. Like, I've switched my mind off. Like, I'm not expecting much out of it, but I just didn't expect it to go on that long and just have like so many like stupid moments. Like Brother Love coming out the toilets and Ray kind of just watching him, and it's just, and then the fake doink. Like, what the fuck are you doing? It was just, it just went on too long, and then the actual match, air quotes, was just a whole lot of nothing. Like, Otis tried to step on a ladder, the fucking rung snapped. Asuka threw Corbin off the ladder for no reason whatsoever. Like they were going for separate brief. The whole fucking thing is just pisses me off. And I'll reiterate the point I made. The PC was full of fucking ladders. They had a ladder match at WrestleMania. There is absolutely no way or no reason why a Money in the Bank match could not have happened in the Performance Center, regardless of the fact there was no crowd or anything like that. They still could have had that match in the PC, and I would have fucking enjoyed it a damn sight more than what this fucking mess was.
Yeah, but like, if you think about it from the wrestler's perspective, a lot of guys don't want to take those crazy bumps when the crowd is not there for them. Like, and you can't take like a bump in an empty room and have adrenaline to get up and be okay, you know?
I mean, you say that, but Ray and Aleister Black took a tumble off the side of that fucking building.
They got murdered.
Nah, that was funny. That was cool. I like Ray's explanation. That was the best. He was like, you know, like, it was a second roof, and it was only 6 feet down.
That's funny. That's funny. That's well played.
But no, it was cool. It was just entertainment. It wasn't nothing crazy. It's not like I'm gonna go back and watch it and say it was the greatest Money in the Bank match of all time. Like, but it was cool just to see. I'm not gonna consider the Boneyard match a Buried Alive match or the Firefly Funhouse match. I don't consider those matches. I just think of it as in like a bit or a segment. That's what I thought of it as.
I do see that point, and it is a very good point. The thing with the Undertaker AJ match and the Cena Bray match at WrestleMania, it wasn't tied to anything. It was like you had like the Boneyard match, and then you had Bray and Cena, and they were their own separate things, and they went off and did it, and they excelled at it. Whereas this thing for me is the fact that it is tied to the Money in the Bank match, which is a concept that I adore. Like, I believe it's gone stale over the last couple of years, but I still look forward to it every year. I consider it above Survivor Series in terms of like levels of like excitement and anticipation, and like a pay-per-view calendar. Like Survivor Series for all I care can drop out of the supposed big four and be exchanged for Money in the Bank.
Imagine this past Survivor Series. That past Survivor Series was freaking awesome.
I can't remember what happened at the last Survivor Series.
The brand battle with all three of them.
Oh no, that was a good Survivor Series. I'll give you that. Touche.
Except for our boy Walter.
Oh yeah, we're not talking about that.
Oh,
we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. It will upset Anthony, and I don't really want to do that.
You could say that about anything. You could say WrestleMania 36 tainted your WrestleMania opinion because there was no crowd and it just sucked. You could say that too about that. Like,
we went through we were talking about booking stuff in like the night before, because we did the takeover review and we were going over different stuff, and I had mentioned like Walter not being like, and I know it's Walter, but I'm gonna say Walter because I feel foolish saying it with a V, and I mentioned it that we were going over like what Survivor Series was going to look like, and we were just talking like off air, and I was like, he doesn't look like a Vince kind of guy, and I'm going to be pissed as fuck when he's in the match and he's going to watch him get like eliminated first and just be terrible.
That was bad.
And Dits was like, no, I probably won't happen, blah, blah, blah. And then that's the first fucking thing that happened. And immediately Dits messaged me and he was like, look what you've done. And I was so mad. But that pay-per-view as a whole I thought that was cool. I would like it to come back in some form of like, I think, again, we were talking off air, ANT, we were talking about like your first real wrestling moment in memory being Survivor Series 91. And
definitely.
I just remember those matches were so cool. Like the Survivor Series concept and the teams matches. And it was such an easy way to start a feud or build a partnership or just have guys fight each other or pair off in ways that you had never seen before because it was too hard. Yeah, that's what
it was. It was like kind of like an exhibition tournament, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing really at stake except for saying that you were a survivor or whatever.
But it was
no title match at stake. But it was just like an exhibition for like the good guys versus the bad guys, and then see what happens.
Yeah, and you got to, and for those of us who watched it, in the earlier mid-90s or whatever, usually it was like the night before Thanksgiving, and so it was like holiday time. You didn't have school the next day, and like it was awesome, and it was all part of like the whole thing. And to see where it's fallen makes me sad. And I would definitely agree that I think Money in the Bank, that pay-per-view, especially with like how that match between Cena and Punk like happened at a Money in the Bank, and then the concept of the Money in the Bank ladder match, which is awesome. I would say that Money in the Bank has replaced, it breaks my heart, but I would say that it's replaced Survivor Series as like one of the top 4 pay-per-views, along with Rumble, SummerSlam, and WrestleMania. That makes me very sad, but I mean, I think it's the state that we're in, and that's why it's even more impactful for me for like what they did at this Money in the Bank with that ladder match. And then I know the same thing for Dits with him being like, again, I'm a huge fan of other wrestling other than WWE, so I tend to give somewhat more negative reviews on WWE for stuff, and Dits will as well. But I was expecting to be the harsher one when we did the review, and for him to come out, that hit me hard in my heart. He was like, "It is forever tainted my view of Money in the Bank," and I like paused.
Just wait till 2021. You might like it next year. 19 was really good. Money in the Bank. That was so good.
Oh, was that Brock coming back and then like killing?
I was there live, so I mean, I enjoyed being there live. So.
See, I did enjoy. No, saying that I actually was okay with Brock coming down. Like I know everyone went into a mad fit. And I think my initial reaction was, oh, for fuck's sake. And then within about 5-10 minutes, I saw the image again of Brock smiling his fucking head off on top of that ladder. I was like, you know what? I'm actually okay with this. I'm good with a Lesnar troll. You know, I am Team Lesnar all the way. I don't care that he goes away for months on end. Like, I'm a Lesnar guy, so
yeah. And then we got like street dancing stereo boombox Brock Lesnar for a little while, and I thought that was awesome. And then he didn't know how the rules worked and when he had to cash in or whatever, and what he had to do. Yeah, I was a fan of it. I'll take it.
But now I wish I hadn't brought up Money in the Bank now because it's still tainted.
Sorry, man.
It's hard to
just watch old ones, man. Just try to erase it from your memory. There was still a lot of great
just
ones.
Just pretend it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
There was no Money in the Bank in 2020.
Oh, so what do you guys think of? Can we talk about AEW on the show or no?
No, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. What
do you think about the Casino Battle Royal coming up? You think it's gonna like a fake Money in the Bank ripoff, or you think it's gonna be cool?
I don't like the concept, and I'm pretty sure that I heard it correctly. I like the concept overall. I don't like the idea of that well, I mean, I get it, but anybody can win it at any time. You don't have to wait for all the participants to come out before you climb the ladder to take the chip and win. I think that's an interesting move off, but you can't help but see it and think that it's not inspired by Money in the Bank, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the timing of it as well.
Yeah, that's. But I mean, I won't complain, mainly because one, I love AEW and I love anything that involves a ladder. I love ladder matches, and I like who they've added to it so far. But yeah, I would definitely say that when I saw the graphic for it and then heard them explain the rules this past week on Dynamite, I was like, well, that sounds like Money in the Bank, except you just replaced the briefcase with a chip and then changed how people come in the ring.
It's just weird how they came up with who's going to be in it. You know, it's not the top 6th ranked guys that should go for the title. It's just random guys. And
I'm wondering too how much because they've still played into the aspect of the real life part of who's been available to film and who hasn't, and they've that's part of the reason they've been using a lot of quote unquote jobbers, because it's been local wrestling talent that's able to travel to where they're filming and what they're doing. So I wonder how much that's playing a role in it. And I feel like it's got to at some point, because they don't really have access to their whole full roster, and their roster isn't the deepest to begin with. And yeah, I would think that I don't think they have access to the full roster. When I saw that Phoenix was added to it, that made me kind of feel better on everything. I was like, all right, cool, I'll take Phoenix. He's so dope. So I'm really cool with that. But yeah, to answer your original point, I can't see how it's not inspired by Money in the Bank. But I like ladders, so I'll take it.
Definitely.
And we're gonna get, because it's AEW and it's all flippy dippy shit. We're gonna get a fun match out of that.
Flippy
dippy.
I've been trying to convince Dits to. We did a couple episodes on AEW. Dits is a pretty hard, indoctrinated WWF, WWE guy when it comes to wrestling, and he knows of other things and he has some experience with it. But I've been trying to convert him to watch more and more AEW, and slowly but surely, these last several weeks he has, and I'm very happy with that. Yeah,
the last 2 weeks I've watched it, and I've got this week saved up, which I'm going to watch tomorrow morning when I get up with the kids. So
nice.
I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds good.
I like it a lot.
But you've tainted me with this Money in the Bank thing. You put me in a bad mood.
All right, come on, man. One more.
No, I'm kidding. No, ANT, honestly.
Let's give it one more chance. I'll
give you another chance. No, it's been awesome having you on today, and not just because you were here for just our little general chit chat. You were essentially our guinea pig for the captain's cabin, and that was enjoyable as well. It actually seems like ages ago since we did that, but it was an hour ago.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad I could be the experimental person for that.
You have set the bar by default.
You've said it.
I don't set the bar. I am the bar.
Ooh. I was waiting for that. I saw that coming, and in this example, you literally are the bar, because no one else has done this. So you've set the bar low and high, and you are by extension the bar at this point.
You can just limbo under it, guys. You don't have to go above it.
Yeah, just everybody who comes on after, feel free to
get 9, 8, 9.5 answers right.
what we could do eventually is turn this into some sort of tournament-based format.
Ooh.
Wow.
And then do a whole little, again, like to make this maybe like a regular season aspect, and then the top 8, people face off in a playoff.
Ooh.
Wow.
Type thing. There's a lot of possibilities here. Or we could go soccer style, or football as the old English call it, and maybe turn into some kind of like Champions League format with round robin facing. But I think the playoff tournament option would be interesting. There's a lot of promise, and you are the guinea pig for this first one. And as of this moment, the best score in the history of the Captain's Cabin quiz, and also the worst. So
Thank you.
you've made history. You are history.
We were supposed to do the plugs at the very top of the episode, which I'm now just realizing that we didn't. So
I noticed it when we were going through it, but you were in a really good flow. And
oh
I was
yeah,
like,
you can't ruin the flow. You can't take the flow. So A&T, like I know you've got stuff going on in the background, and I know you do a lot of wrestling themed songs as well, which are awesome. Because if you haven't heard the Draft That episode that A&T came on for, you have at least heard his music played on this show at least 3 times to this point. So I'm sure you got some stuff to plug, A&T. So use this time to plug away.
Thanks a lot. I have a lot of wrestling songs that I'm working on or thinking of working on in the future. I have AEW and WWE wrestling songs that I've created. Right now, I'm really trying to promote the YouTube. I'm trying to get some subscribers on YouTube and, leave a comment, subscribe, and also my Spotify page. Both are ANTwontstop, one word. ANTwontstop. And also, if you guys, you can find me anywhere else. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everything. I just recently started TikTok, so you could you could use my music on TikTok as well, which is cool.
Dits is all about TikTok.
Oh,
now.
I love me some TikTok.
Look at, he just came out right away. Oh, I love it.
I love TikTok. Give me some TikTok. Is it the same name on TikTok?
Yeah, and won't stop on everything.
Boom, you're going to see a follow in the next 10 minutes.
You guys want to add me on Xbox, and won't stop, everything. And
I've done that. I've done that one, to be fair.
I'm a PS4 guy, folks.
Get out.
Oh, I got to go. Bye.
I was going to give you the opportunity to plug your shitty Buffalo Sports fucking podcast then, Anthony. But I've
That's
changed
horrible.
Nah, this is Xbox gang.
Yes, Xbox gang. Nah, I actually love Anthony's other podcast because like I have no idea what he's talking about, but I just enjoy it. I don't know, like even though it's solo, like it reminds me of me being solo until I brought you in. Like you just have a nice flow, you have a nice rhythm. I regardless of what you say, you do have a very good podcast voice, and I find it soothing when I'm cleaning the kitchen. So if you would like to plug that podcast to the nice people out there, it is not shitty like I just said it was. It's actually very good.
I've heard it.
That's awesome. I appreciate the niceties, and I'm definitely going to try and build that podcast as like music to, or as like the podcast to clean your kitchen to. That's definitely what I'm aiming for. So I like that. But no, as I hope everyone knows by now, I am Anthony. Find me on Twitter at wagons_warpaths. I am the host of the Wagons and Warpaths podcast. It is a Buffalo sports talk podcast. I come out with episodes every week focusing on the Buffalo Bills and/or Buffalo Sabres. Again, find me on Twitter at wagons_warpaths. In the Twitter bio, you can find my episode link tree that has all the episodes ever made by my podcast and all the platforms it streams on, including Apple, iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher. I'm also a featured writer for LastWordOnProFootball.com, and I cover trending stories in the NFL and also the Buffalo Bills. And I make podcast episodes that you can clean your kitchen to.
Hell yeah.
That's
like
awesome.
that. I'm going with them.
And for me, obviously, you're already listening to this podcast in some way, shape, or form. Of course, you are. So you're using your favorite podcasting platform anyway, but we are available everywhere, essentially. But from a personal point of view, you can follow me on Twitter at Dits on Wrestling. You can find me on YouTube it's not at, they just have a name. Dits on YouTube over there. And on TikTok as well. Just search for Dits on Wrestling and you will find me. So, and I have a personal one on there as well, which you can follow my hijinks and my tortoise walking around the garden, which is riveting stuff. He is the DOWPOD mascot, so naturally I have a tortoise, and he represents a nautical themed podcast. Doesn't fit. Doesn't fit. But plug wise for the show next week, we've got Foul Original coming on. So already you have competition in the captain's cabin next week, ANT. So we'll see how he gets on, and then the following week I'm
going to be tuned in. I'm going to be watching that.
Oh, that's what we hope. We hope that anyone who takes this quiz and is like can cite themselves on that leaderboard is like very protected of what they have, and they just make sure they don't get fucking beaten by anyone. I'm getting beaten by everybody with a low score of like 5 or whatever the hell that thing was.
6. Don't sell yourself short, man.
Oh, boom, 6. Get on. But yeah, I can see everybody doing the same, which is really cool. But in 2 weeks' time, we have an interview on the show, which is going to be really, really good. I am a fan of wrestling games, so personally for me, I'm excited. It's the guys behind the video game WrestleMania, which is coming out in July. We're going to have them on the show, talking about the game and seeing how all that's coming along before it releases in 2 months' time. So that's going to be really good. And then, of course, there's a whole host of other hijinks that we tend to get up to like across the way. We're going to have another pre-show experience when Backlash comes around, so there's that to look forward to. And then obviously at some point we'll have a night of quizzing where we get everybody on, and that leaderboard is going to fill up pretty damn quick.
It's going to get intense.
It's going to be good.
All underneath number 1.
All underneath number 1. All sat at like 9 and 8.
Oh, that would be funny. That would be funny if everybody was just getting like 9s and 8s, like so close to the 10 and just couldn't come over. Oof, it's gonna be intense.
If I make it like as number 1, I probably won't make it number 1 until next week. But if I make it like 10, if 10 people fill up, if 9 people fill up underneath me, I want a personalized shout out.
That's fair.
Deal.
That's
I will make you a golden anchor and I will send it to you. You can have it.
Ooh, it might happen.
It's possible.
Yeah, it is possible. That 9 in the first round was still strong. Oof, it is going to be intense. But we'll give you that special shout out if the next 9, if out of the first 10 people, yourself included, you are still on top, you will get that special shout out.
Hell yes.
Let's go.
And then especially if we decide to do this playoff format, the seeding is very important. Oh boy.
But ANT, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on again, and I mean, it goes without saying you have an open invitation to come back on the show whenever you want. And of course, we look forward to hearing more of your wrestling theme music as time goes by. But thank you very much for coming on. Anthony, thank you for gracing us with your presence once again, as always is the case. I am Dits. I am the captain of this ship, and I will see you next week on the DOWPOD.